And it only started it.
Right. Hour ago.
Well, yeah, when I called you, I see that.
Go ahead.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. Here we are live at the White Mule Winery on the high plains of Gasconade County. You know, the temperature says 32 degrees exactly, but it feels much colder than that. A gray sky today, and there is a mix coming down, and there's, you know, a pretty good covering at this juncture, which just started probably 45 minutes ago or so, but just coming over here on the highways, they are slick. I'm not saying they're impassable, but they are slick. Don't look like there's a whole lot of things down on them, so it'd be a good day just to sit back and listen to the radio. Listen to KTUI, 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or if you're so inclined, you can turn us on Facebook and watch us there live. And here we are today. What a day it's going to be, and hopefully this is going to dissipate here reasonably soon. I called my guest here about an hour ago, and I said, you know, Greg, we don't have to do this today, you know. But, you know, the truth of the matter is a 6'7" Marine, you just don't tell them what to do. Is that why you are, about 6'6" or 7 or 8? I don't know.
I got out of the Marine Corps at 6'9".
Wow. And
yeah.
you haven't shrunk, Kitty.
Well, yeah, I think I'm shrinking. You don't get 62 years, you know, and don't start to shrink. I mean, you look at it as been in the gutter business for 42 years, up and down ladders and knees and everything else, start to work out a little bit, you know. But yeah, we're here to have a good time.
And it's great to have you. And we've known each other for almost that 42 years, I'm assuming, because I know you did guttering jobs, you know what I'm saying, for us, you know, numerous times, and we've known each other on a political level and, you know, a hunting level, and you're now, today, mostly representing Quail Forever.
Oh, yeah.
And you do a great job putting a banquet together there on a yearly basis, right?
We had to skip a few for COVID, but other than that, you know, this is our 12th year. 12th year, on the 12th day of March, we will have our 12th banquet. You know,
wow.
So it's kind of a neat deal.
A little irony there, and you know, that's the way it is. Well, I mean, you talk about a challenge. In all honesty, just looking at as it is, Greg, that, you know, we have had a lot and have a lot of successes in Missouri in regard to wildlife.
Correct.
You know, we brought back the deer herd, or the conservation, from extinction. We didn't have turkeys not that many years ago. We brought them back in great numbers. You know, quail is a tough challenge, to say the least. And, you know, you know, you and I remember the 60s, you know,
glory days,
pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, the 60s and even the early 70s.
Oh, even
you know,
the 80s.
Even the 80s
yeah.
were good. But, you know, it is a challenge today to find as many birds as, you know, we would like to. And it's, you know, things are changing, and we're learning, though. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting because I read a little bit on, you know, some of the later research, you know what I'm saying, that the Conservation Commission put in a few years back, and some pretty good findings in there, and some information, you know, such as nesting, I picked up out of it, that, you know, we also used to think that, you know, nesting like the, you know, 15th of June was a kind of a date that we hay farmers, you know, if you get beyond that, you know, you're probably not going to hurt too much as far as the bird nesting. But this research kind of didn't say that, you know. I mean, as a matter of fact, it kind of said that It's in July and even August, right?
They can actually have 2 to 3 clutches in a year's time. That's another fact that they came up with, that, not only do they have one, but they can have 2 a year, which helps that population out wonderfully. Old saying, knock, 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 give a woodpecker a headache. You start talking about quail, we're going to be here all day long, because that's what we like to talk about, and the scientific part of it. Quail Forever has 3 biologists that we help to provide, and we hire, through the proceeds of this banquet that we're going to have. That's one of the great, awesome things that we put on this banquet for that reason, and, just to get people involved. Memberships are so important, because that's what across the state they look at. How many people are really interested? You talked about the Conservation Commission. Aren't we blessed in the state of Missouri to have a Conservation Commission? And now they have even younger people getting involved in it, women as well as men, in the Conservation Commission. And, it works out really, really well for Missouri, not just here.
We are the envy of America.
We are.
In regard to Conservation Commission.
Any state, and they'll say that. Any state, for ducks, for deer, for anything, we are the envy.
I was very blessed, in all honesty, that Dave Murphy, who you know, I was selected on the Congressional Sports Caucus, on the federal level. I got to represent, what I'm saying, Missouri Midwest, got to travel with the Sportsman Caucus and meet all these wonderful people and the programs, that they have, and really the philanthropy, and the business, what I'm saying, that comes along with those things, and it's just a great feeling to be amongst people that think the same way, that enjoy our freedoms and our guns, and enjoy private land ownership.
Correct.
But also are really motivated towards wildlife. I mean, that's where it all comes from. Want to do whatever we need to do and whatever we're taught,
right,
to some degree, above profit on the farm, in all honesty, in our situation, and a lot of them, we just want to do what's good for our kids and what's good for our culture, and what's good for the wildlife, because we know what an integral part. You just told me a while ago about your daughter, before we got on the air, wanting to go fishing at Merrimack on March the 1st, and that's who we are.
Exactly. I mean, it's a tradition, and our kids, after being a youth director for about 12 years or 11 years for Quail Forever, and putting on program after program after program, from fishing tournaments to, crawdad crawls, where the kids got to go out and look for crawdads in a creek for an hour and a half, and they had never been in a creek before in their life. All those things that we're teaching kids with this Quail Forever program, it's just amazing to see them, the next generation coming through. And without programs like we have, there won't be a second and a third and a fourth generation of multitudes of kids from, I don't care if it's St. Louis, if it's from Owensville, Missouri, they can still come together at one place and have those programs, and that's what we're all about. That's what it's all about. My daughter, all my kids, love to go fishing, go down to Merrimack, go anywhere and go fishing with Dad. We've got pictures of crappie that, we caught 50-some crappie in a day's time and brought them home and cleaned them up, and that's our dinner. That's our part of our life, is eating wildlife, enjoying the outdoors and being able to beneficially have that opportunity. When I was in my 20s, I started fishing and hunting and different things like this. Maybe a little bit younger than that, but I was a taker at that time.
Of course.
I was a taker. I started rabbit hunting on Sunday afternoons after church, and then I got into quail because we had jumped 2 or 3, 4 coveys of quail and had to eat them too, and that was a lot of fun. That was something totally different, shooting a quail than what it was shooting a rabbit, or a squirrel or anything like that. this year we had a great program that Dennis from Alps allowed us to have on his place, and that was a squirrel hunt, a mentored squirrel hunt for kids. Talk about turning out awesome. Alps up there, Dennis was very generous to let us use his place, and all the farmers around there, when we told them that it was going to be a squirrel hunt for kids, started getting on the program. We had like 7 or 8 farms, that said, hey,
Wow.
bring the kids over here, let them, experience the whole idea of squirrel hunting. Yeah, you know what? We might have got a tick in the woods or something like that, but we had a great time, and they learned a lot,
It is that generation collaboration,
most
that
definitely.
is just awesome. I remember we never had like a sportsman club, in high school when I was there, and I guess I was on into politics at the state level, and they had this youth wildlife dinner at the high school, and of course wanted to go and do whatever, but wasn't expecting
Right.
too much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, might have a little turkey soup, or maybe some deer meat. I walked in this auditorium at Owensville and absolutely could not believe the turnout that was there. It was just awesome to me. How many kids and their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents and everybody supporting these kids in this endeavor. And there was tables and tables and tables of all kind of food, wildlife stuff with all kind of recipes. And I'm thinking, this is unbelievable,
Well, David Schatz, an old friend of yours, was the first one to take and put me into something like that, inviting me to go to something like that. And it was like, wow, the first time I had barbecue coon done the right way, unbelievable. And I would have never thought about eating coon before that because I hunted them, I know where they run and grab and everything else, but it was delicious. I mean,
and I've had some good coon, and I've had
yeah, well, you have to boil it at least 3 times to get all that fat out of there. And once you boil it, cool it, and boil it, and cool it, and boil it, and cool it, and you render that fat off the top, and you pull it all off the bone, and put some great sauce with it. It's delicious.
It's it is a great thing, and we that kind of live off the land to some degree appreciate it, and usually that's where you're going to find your greatest recipes. There's no question about that at all. And quail, we just don't get to eat and have that delicacy nearly enough. But a little quail with a little bacon, wrapped around it, put a little Italian dressing and whatever on that, just a little bit, and grill that. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of things you can eat, but quail's one of those sweet meats that always turns out to be the best. I made one mistake in my cooking adventures, and I tried to take and put the whole quail in when I was making a quail with mushroom gravy and all this kind of stuff, and I put it in the crock pot to sit for a while. Well, I forgot that those rib bones were so small that when it all cooked down, those little bones were everywhere. So you almost had to run it through a sieve to get the little rib bones out of there. I should have used the breast and the legs, and then I would have been all right.
Well, we with hair around their mouth.
Yeah, that's kind of like
got it straight. That's
Strainer,
just a little bit. Suck that juice out a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Well, everything in life is circulatory to some degree. When you live long enough and you see enough, you get to realize that everything is circulatory to some degree. I even get sick about the same time every year. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it all kind of follows, that flow. But quail, okay, and we're right in the middle of that circulatory situation of where we hunt pheasants. I mean, we go out to winter, which is it was some of the best in the U.S., for many years, and it's still it's still good.
Right.
But it's at the kind of, it's at the bottom. And it's not because of the lack of habitat there, because these farmers out there and these investors, they own their acres, and they absolutely invest what it needs to from a scientific level, whatever they need to do on thousands and thousands of acres to raise pheasant. But that said, they're still cyclatory, you know what I'm saying? And they had a hailstorm come through several years back and knocked the heck out of those or whatever. And anyway, that's what we deal with. The thing about quail, though, is that this has been a long changing cycle, and I'm not sure where we are in the midst of that, because when I look at the farming practices or the land practices, that was there in the 60s.
Correct. 70s.
We're not and 70s. We're not anywhere close to those things today, and even though my neighbor, and him, Mr. Mitchner, and whoever's got 1,000, he had 1,000 acres here, and we help, and we've learned what we've learned on our property, to follow a lot of those, particular situations. But even those kind of individuals, we're not seeing the quail numbers today, Greg, as I did 2 years ago.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about success. The old thing, you make it and they'll come. One of the places I used to bird hunt as a young man became a subdivision. There were still farms around it. And one of the girls next door to my wife's home place decided to let the Quail Conservation Department and Quail Forever come in and do some work. And that was about 3-4 years ago. And now, amidst the buildings that are around there for commercial and the groundwork that they did and the neighboring farmers, the way they've planted and everything else, I was out there this year and heard 3 cubbies, seen 3 cubbies, and it was like unbelievable, because she hadn't seen a quail on there for years. Even though back in the 70s and 60s or 80s, I hunted it, and there was no way we wouldn't get at least 5 or 6 cubbies up. But the neighboring farmers and her extra work there, and a lot of weeds. I mean, people look at it as weeds, but when you have a farm that is edge to edge clean and no weeds growing and everything is herbicided to make sure that there is no weeds and there are no bugs, well, those quail have to eat bugs. And they have to take and have weed seed for this time of year right now, when there's nothing else out there except for this foxtail maybe hanging over, that has...
Beggar lice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beggar lice,
I wish there was more quail to eat than beggar lice, too. Every time I take my bird dog out, I got a Brittany, and it's going to be full of cockaburs or it's something, because it's always so hairy. But, it's a natural flow of all types of things that have to be done, and that's one of the successes. I can tell you 3 or 4 of them across the state, because a long time ago, the Conservation Department, when I went up to Jeff City to talk about quail, they told me habitat. Right. And with our organization, there's only 2 things we do, and that's habitat and youth. That's why we raise all of our money, but you put the right habitat down, and you get that biologist out to your place, and you allow us to help you make areas where, there is going to be habitat that is actually good for it. And they're learning too. I mean, you used to see big blue everywhere.
Yes.
You don't see big blue going out everywhere like it was before, because it's not the perfect, these pollinators are such a great program. You know what I'm saying?
Because they're feed year round, and
you got butterflies, you got bees, you've got everything that's working off the pollinators. So
yeah, and it is there's a level of sophistication here, you know, that is not general management, okay? I mean, you can't say this, that, or the other, you know, because the environment and the habitat here takes finesse, you know, to be able to get. I mean, we used to think tree rows, you know what I'm saying, perfect, good, whatever, you know, don't, you know, the cows don't get in them, or, you know, a lot of ours, they don't.
Right.
You know, you put electric fence up on both sides, do whatever. But, you know, what they're saying at this juncture is not tall trees.
Right.
Plums, little short things, because, hey, even the conservation said this, you know, in their publication, that there's a lot of hawks around here, you know what I'm saying? And those red tail, they can see, and they, you know, if you don't have the right kind of cover and some brush and some blackberries and things in there for them to have meticulous cover, but a roosting area when they're ready to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And not sitting high up where they're visible, important stuff.
Well, you know, it's just like having the cover that you drop down, edge feathering, that's what they call it. Wonderful thing, because you do get some of those blackberries growing in them and everything else. And like my place, I put that on a hillside, the upper side of a wood line, or lower side of a wood line, and they have an escape route when they're in those little runs in there and everything else. They can fly 85 to 150 yards away down to the creek down below, and they're going to make it. You know, when a bobcat or a coyote, or think about how many things eat the little quail. You know what I'm saying?
And the quail
Everything and
eggs.
anything, the quail eggs, yeah. You know, it's just amazing.
It's just
It's everything.
Well, everything likes it. Yeah, what I'm saying.
Wait, you know, I've even had quail eggs before.
You know, everything likes those little, and there is, you know, I mean, I guess in all there is a balance, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
to this, but man has to be understood here. I mean, I was watching something the other night on Smithsonian about, you know, and remembering how much of a controversy it was in Yellowstone to bring back the wolves,
Yeah.
you know, and how that happened, and, you know, the progression of, you know, basically, you know, losing most of the herds, you know what I'm saying, in there because of mismanagement. They let them get way too populated, in all honesty.
Correct.
The buffalo and, you know, the elk and everything else. They thought, well, don't do nothing. You know, don't do nothing. We can't hunt these. We can't, this is pristine. Well, and the wolves weren't there, you know what I'm saying? So they overpopulated, you know, and it killed them off. And now they reintroduced the wolves. And I totally understand it from a farmer's standpoint. You know, I mean, the coyotes and whatever.
they're gonna take-
Although I have never ever seen, you know, a coyote or had experience where I think they killed a calf. Now, will they eat them, you know, after they're gone? Absolutely. And I'm not saying if they got hungry enough, you know, that
they're just gonna eat 'em.
they're going to remain. But there's
So
enough
will your-
quail out here.
So will your bald eagle, and so will anything else.
And isn't that a phenomenal comeback? I could take you back to the cows right now,
Correct.
where we're calving, and guarantee you there's probably 2 bald eagles and maybe a golden,
Yes.
immature
Yes.
golden,
Yes.
that hangs around there for the afterbirth.
Right, right. You know, I had some guys ask me just the other night if they could come out coyote hunting, and I told them sure. And they said, well, you know, are you cows starting to calf that, you know, the coyotes will be around there? I said, boys, I got something even better. You go fry you up 1.5 pounds of bacon. You make a circle out in the middle of the field with that bacon grease, and you watch the coyotes come. I mean, there is nothing better than a stinky old bacon grease. I've got a farm in Kansas that I bird hunt on, and it is a deer farm. Great friend out there, and that's what he does, is he has people come from all over the world and hunt deer out at his place, wild hunts.
Right.
Not anything fenced or anything like that. But he won't even allow me to cook bacon inside of the restaurant area, kitchen area, I have to go outside and cook it on a grill outside. Then I can pat it off and bring it back in and eat it, because the grease from bacon is so potent that it will get on their clothes and stuff like that when they're going out to hunt. The deer will smell them. So when you want to get them coyotes, boys, you get you some bacon grease and you heat it up and you put it out in a circle out there. Watch the coyotes come. Watch the coyotes.
Call Mom, it's a good reason to have bacon and eggs.
Anytime.
This afternoon after the show, whatever. Because I do know that it's also, mating time for the coyotes, and it's also a great time to be hunting those, because now for the next 6 or 8 weeks, you know what I'm saying, they are in the middle of that, and you'll hear them.
I've seen more coyotes in last week running around with my gutter business selling jobs than I have seen all season just walking through the fields, the bottoms. Boy, I wish I had somebody's permission a couple times to just put that 7mm out the window. But those days are over.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, it is, unless you're fortunate enough to know your neighbors.
Oh, I do.
And, they've got some land to, I mean, I kind of do have one in my side-by-side that I carry,
Right.
Well,
there's not a neighbor I have, I don't believe, that wouldn't mind me clipping a few of those. But I go from Oakville, Illinois to Lake of the Ozarks with gutter business, you know what I'm saying? So it's not always that easy.
I totally understand. Just a word on the gutter business. I mean, construction still moving forward at a rapid pace here. Is new construction or the business?
The business of construction is probably faster than it's been since the 70s and 80s. The problem is product. What I used to buy for $1 a pound is now $3.70 a pound, for raw material. And what do you do with that except for prices have to go up? But until interest rates go up, guess what? They're still going to be building and everything else. You can see all over the place people are popping up new homes. They're redoing their homes. Most construction people have been in a great way, and it's been a blessing.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you look across the board, not only have your construction guys been busy, your lumberyard guys, and all the people who serve them, but then look at the real estate.
Exactly. Phenomenal.
Guess who I want to come to the banquet? Every real estate person out there.
Of course.
They've had a great year. We've had a great year. How can we say anything but we've been blessed? But getting product is going to be the biggest challenge. I see aluminum going up even higher because, the raw material is the problem. And what it takes to actually make a coil of aluminum, we haven't done anything with it for 8 or 9 years across the United States, so that's going to go up. You know what I'm saying? Has to.
It is no question a changing environment, and we're old enough. We've seen this, before, and we've seen commodities skyrocket, and we're in the midst of some of that right now. But I'm kind of convinced that nobody has all the answers. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and it's just kind of a matter of in business being flexible in your plan.
Yes.
And being able to take the good with the bad, and we're blessed here without a doubt. But it's how it is. I don't know how high beef can go before people start pushing back. But at this junction, we keep doing all we can do to serve the best steak we possibly can, and tell people and be honest and transparent with them that this is where we are.
Yeah, and you know what? People want to come out for a great meal and a great steak. That's why they come here, Charlie. You know, and that's what keeps your fried chicken on Sunday and everything going. I mean, it's just it's a simple, natural thing to go where you enjoy to go, and you love the people that you're around, and you get a good meal. I mean, I was blown away when I talked to your wife about how many people for Valentine's Day. That was just, really? They're going to serve that many people, and they got it pulled off, you know, and everybody was happy. You know, that's.
Well, thank you for that, and you know, that's not exactly while we're here, but I'll take compliments. And you know, but that's just the way it is. But thank you for that. Quail. I mean, when we talk about the finessing, you know what I'm saying, of quail and creating quail habitat, we have to look in terms of their environment on their time schedule, you know, and what different needs that the environment is conducive to their best opportunities. When they're nesting, of course, they need, you know, grass, they need good places to make good nests that are pretty well covered, you know what I'm saying, that they can go in there and nest, you know, for a period of time, and we're learning that you know, that nesting probably is not only till the 15th of June, it's probably into July and August,
easily,
you know, that it can be done. And then you look at the brooder time when those little baby chicks, you know, are hatched. Yeah, their thumbnail.
I call them little popcorn quail because, you know, they're learning at that time to jump, to learn how to take off and flight. They don't even know why they're doing it, but they walk around and they'll go 3 or 4 steps and then they'll pop up. Then they'll take 3 or 4 more steps and they'll pop up. And by raising quail for my game farm, I got to watch all this. My kids did most of the raising and my wife, but you would see them in the brooders.
Wow.
And they would constantly go 3 or 4 steps and pop, pop.
It's interesting.
And that is to learn to start their flight when they're getting older, to take and get those wings working and everything else.
It don't take very long for them
it does not.
to get older and to get into flight. I don't know exactly how long it takes, but it's pretty quick.
Yes, and you know that here again, the native grass versus the fescue, they get to run in between the individual plants where the fescue is like a net, you know, and they can't do that in there, and that's one of the first things Quail Forever biologists do is they look at what kind of crops you have and what type of grass, and here, let's write up a program where you can get started by, you know, 15 foot away from a fence, put something different in there besides that, you know, and like you said, the different grasses that they have keep the hawks from seeing them and everything else. I told you about edge feathering where, you know, they're up on top of the hill and the little guys can run into that and everything can't get to them. You know, the coyotes, the foxes, the coons, whatever, even the turkeys. If you look at the turkey population, I still think that has some to do with it, but it went up terribly and the quail dove down. But I've also seen turkey eat a mouse that was the size of my thumb in 2 gulps. So what is it going to do with a little quail chick that's the size of my thumbnail? You know, so popcorn shrimp, you know, quail.
You know, and edge feathering is not rocket science, okay? No. And, you know, farmers are farming around that edge, and they're not. All you got to do is cut the limbs off on some of these trees that scratch your cab up, you know what I'm saying? And
let's look at the positive parts.
Well, I mean, and break, when you're trying to bush hog underneath that, even if you got a 20-foot bush hog, you still can't get anywhere close to that wood line, you know what I'm saying, to clean that. So just do some common sense thing. And you do this, you know, and you push a little pile together, and I talked about it 2 or 3 different times. Last time you were here, I had a little, some of the cedars, you know what I'm saying, right here below our vineyard, right along the county road. And I pushed that together and left it there for a year, went down, was going to burn it up, and there was quail running around it. So I backed off, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
No, of course I did, and it's still there, but the quail aren't, you know what I'm saying, right now. But but it takes, what am I saying? It takes a changing habitat. Daddy used to always say, okay, teach us that change brings on prosperity in regard to, and diversity,
Correct.
But don't let cedars grow up everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because what good is that? You need to go in there and harvest that, to some degree, manage it to a degree so you can get new plants growing in there and get the browse, and those kind of things. And the same philosophy kind of with quail, only more finessed, I think.
Yeah, I tell you, cedars are a normal thing we have around here, but they're not anything but an invasive plant. I mean,
I'm totally with you.
They're invasive. My son has done a great job of going through the woods and knocking down cedar trees, and that causes a place for habitat.
Right.
But also it gets that invasive species out of the woods. Maple trees. I don't know where they all came from, but my goodness, there's more maples out there now than what we've seen in years. So they're coming down also because they won't feed anything. You put a pin oak or an oak of any kind over there where those are, and they're going to feed something out in the woods instead of, just having the maple trees or any invasive species. Look at the olive trees, Russian olives. That is one of the biggest things that we have a problem with. I went to a managed hunt one time down in the St. Louis area, and I couldn't see the deer for the olives. They won't cut anything down in there, so the olives have started at the edge of the woods, and now they're about halfway through the woods, because every time the birds come around and eat those beautiful little red berries, they go and sit on a branch and they plant more seeds everywhere. And I found them in my woods and started cutting them out. I never had a Russian olive. I didn't think I had a Russian olive anywhere around, but I went to my next door neighbor's old farm, and he had a bush that was bigger than my truck sitting there right next to the house. And
producing all kind of seeds, and
yeah, if they produce 10,000 seeds, and then birds run out in the woods and they go to the edge, and you'll just see them start growing back into the woods a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. So,
you talked about the cedar being an invasive species, and a friend of ours and Doug Koppelman, and his dad, Arville, of course, does all kind of work, what I'm saying, for Quail Forever. But the last couple of weeks ago when it was snowing out, that I had the cows all taken care of, and, unrolled the hay, did whatever I needed to do. Well, I just like to get in my truck when it's snowing sometimes and drive around.
Right.
And just kind of check things out and see whatever, you know what I'm saying? I hadn't been there a while, but, went down to Bath Creek, looked up on the hill. Doug cleaned that entire hillside off of all the cedars and spent years doing it. But you talk about a beautiful sight, when you just seen them white oaks, growing in there and all of the cedars gone out of there. It was pretty amazing, and I just knew how much good work that they do. You know what I'm saying?
Right on Highway 50, the Ecksteins are doing the same thing. Mark Stropman out in Nair has wiped out hundreds of them, and also the maples and all these invasive. I said, Mark, you come home from doing concrete all day and then you go after trees. It's just one of those things, but it's giving back is what it really is. I told you I was a taker when I was younger. As you get older, you start thinking about giving back. What's it going to do for my neighborhood? What's it going to do
For my kids, for my
kids,
grandkids.
my grandkids? You know, Dave Flagg and I are good friends, and we have
too.
this- yeah,
Not to name drop necessarily,
but we have this thing. It takes a village to raise kids. You know what I'm saying? And actually, that's what we see all around us is this person and that person helping the neighborhood, the kids, the everything. It's part of Quail Forever, you know? As a youth director, we have helped a lot of kids find out who they are, you know, right there in their upbringing. So it takes a village, means a lot. I told a young man that here about 5 years ago who just had a new baby girl, and I was there looking for a donation where he worked the other day, and he brought that up and about brought tears to my eyes. I don't try to be, you know, wear my.
it's a quotable quote from me.
And he told his boss about that, and it was like, wow, you know, I never expected him, of all people, to come back and give that to me again.
You know, and that alone is worth the price of admission to our area. And you can go from here to Nyer, you know what I'm saying, to Marthasville, to, you know, Sullivan, to, you know, to Herman,
To Lynn.
to Lynn.
Yeah.
That culture is dead on right there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying other communities are not. We just happen to be probably related. we talked about that the other day. Yeah. We're probably related to all of those people within 50 miles of here that grew up with the same set of standard, the same hospitality, the same background, and
I learned so
it's
much.
so good.
I learned so much when I was a kid by going to Lynn, Missouri, and working on a dairy farm. It was, you know.
And that was the Brants, of course. That's your relative.
Exactly, the Tomacheks, the Brants, you know, they're, it's just, it was a great experience looking back. You know, I had the time of my life, you know.
And Alfred is still on the farm, and Mark advises us all the time through the USDA, you know what I'm saying, and all of the things that we're talking about in regard to habitat and things, and doing what they love to do.
Right.
Doing what they're good at doing.
Oh, most definitely. You know, I lost a wonderful relative up there, Cliff,
Yes.
that worked in the turkey business
Yes.
for years. And, you know, how do you put it? Mentors that were, you know, 2 years older than I was. I remember taking bass from Blue Hollow all the way up to another pond because there wasn't enough bass in 5-gallon buckets walking, which was a half mile. You know what I'm saying? We could have drove up there, but we didn't. We walked these bass all the way up there and put them in the pond so that they would, you know, get bigger and there would be places to fish. And, you know, who does that when they're 14 years old? You know what I'm saying? 15 and 16. Somebody who thinks.
You know,
about
honestly, I have a neighbor boy, or not a boy, a neighbor that, you know, he's got a good job, but, you know, he fishes here, and he stocked all of our ponds for us. You know what I'm saying? When he brought some crappie from the Peaceful and whatever. But Nick, you know what I'm saying? Which will benefit our grandkids, and, you know, I don't fish that much. And Gracie don't have time to, you know. All right, hey, we're going to take a little break here on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, and Facebook Live. And Gracie is going to get us up to speed this weekend coming up. And by the way, Greg brought it up, but I just want to say thank you to the wonderful Valentine's Day for all of our clients out there that we had. And I want to also say thank you to our staff, because if you can do what we did and serve as many as we did and not have any complaints,
hiccups.
you know, that's pretty dadgum good. And,
No,
and
that's
our
great.
staff, I really did. I want to say thank you to them and everybody, because it takes a community.
Well, you know, you can't do what you do without good people, you know, and we have good people in our businesses.
Exactly.
Thank God, you know, And the whole thing in a nutshell is here, it takes a group. You know, it's not one Marine that takes that hill. It's everyone that climbs up, everyone that's been there, that's done it, that's worked together to do it. So.
Great team. We're going to come back here with Greg Adeholt and focus in on banquet, you know what I'm saying, and tell people what they need to do, how to get there, and how they can help you and us in regard to that endeavor. So what's going on in our neck of the woods here, Greg?
First of all, we got a call that the Owensville license office is closed today, so.
You told me that at the beginning of the show, didn't you?
I did.
I was so focused on the quail. Yeah, the Owensville license office, because of the weather, have closed, so don't be going out today to get your license updated.
That's right.
Just tell the cop they were closed.
I really couldn't make it, officer.
The Owensville Moose Lodge is having a fried chicken dinner Saturday, February 19th from 1 to 4 p.m. Dine in or take out. A 2-piece plate is $9 and a 3-piece plate is $10. The St. James UCC at Charlotte, where is having our Polar Bear Barbecue Sunday, February 20th. We'll be serving till noon until 2 or sold out. Carry out only. We will have barbecue brats, pork steaks, coleslaw, potato salad, and baked beans.
The way it looks today, it's going to be a good day for Polar Bear Barbecue. Maybe it'll be warmer by Sunday, but we're thinking about it. So just come and pick up a meal. And I don't know if you've got it there, but I know that our church at Rosebud has got a wonderful turkey and sausage dinner that day. And
Do you dress up like a turkey on that day?
I'm a turkey every day. You know?
Well, now, you know, I was just talking to a young man, they have a fried chicken dinner out there at St. John's Guildhouse,
Yes.
and he dresses up as a chicken and greets everybody. So I'm thinking that this might be a job for you. You know you need another job.
I'm going to go ahead and dress up like a cow.
No, we want a turkey, the whole feathers, you know. Sorry about that.
No, so go. I mean, the two churches close to each other. If I would have thought about it, if somebody from our church would have thought about it, we don't mean to have it fall in one day. But everybody that I've talked to said, we all eat 2 meals a day. And I guarantee you, we will not miss the turkey. And I mean, that's such an odd combination, isn't it? Pork sausage, sauerkraut, and turkey. But it goes so unbelievable good together. It's just phenomenal.
Winner, winner, turkey and sausage dinner.
Exactly.
In the Rosebud Emmanuel Lutheran Church, their dinner is also Sunday, February 20th. $12 per plate, 4 and under are free. That one is dine in or carry out. Zion Lutheran Church is having their 7th annual Pancake Day, Saturday, February 26th from 7 a.m. to 10, and that is in Owensville.
I kind of like this time of the year when we start talking about all these church dinners again, you know?
And then we'll have picnics.
Yes.
It's always food. This Friday night at the White Mule, we will be serving steak, shrimp, beef kebabs, and chicken parmesan from 5 until 8:30. Saturday, we will be serving pizza, wings, and hamburgers from noon till 5, and then steaks after that. Then Sunday is all-you-can-eat pan-fried chicken and roast beef from 11 until 3:30.
Fantastic. Well, we don't have much time left, Greg, so give me the highlights here in regard to the banquet coming up.
Okay, March 12th is our 12th anniversary Quail Forever Banquet, Missouri River Valley Quail Forever, which has its roots originally up here in Owensville, because the little guy we talked about, Orville Koppelman, used to bring 150 to 200 people up here because he loved quail. Okay, he got the idea. After talking to us, we decided to go ahead and start our own group down in Washington, and it has been a large success. What type of people do you meet there? You meet people who work at factories, you meet people who are in business, you meet people who are contractors, you meet people who are in the representative office. You know, you just meet people of all different types there coming together for one thing: habitat and youth. The money that we raise, 85% stays in the local counties, as well as outreaches to Washington County. Because of our biologists go a long ways
Right.
to put habitat on the ground. They go a lot of different places where we donate money, not only that, but to Earth's Classroom and
Sure.
different
Right at Rosebud,
organizations.
yes.
Yes, you know. So anyway, everything that we raise stays local, and 15% approximately goes to corporate. Different than other organizations where 85 goes to corporate and, you know,
Right,
very little
exactly.
stays here to put boots on the ground. Local biologists, I can't talk enough about them and what the work they do and the reports. And we are so open that every meeting that we have, everybody that's a member gets to see our books, as well as a
awesome.
printout via email or whatever every month to see where we're spending our money. It's nothing hidden. Greg doesn't do a bit of thing, even though they gave him a presidency. He doesn't have anything to do with any part of that. It's all about putting habitat on the ground. And, you know, we have 4 or 5 different levels. You can come in with a couple for $85, have a great meal, drinks, enjoy the camaraderie. Or you can go all the way up to $2,150 for 4 people, all the tickets, all the guns, we give away about 45 to 50 guns that night.
Wow.
You know, so it's a ordeal just to get enough guns to
Wow.
give away, you know,
Wow.
besides all of the camaraderie. We've got people that are coming all the way from down in St. Louis because they want to enjoy what they've seen happen out here at their farm and help out. And, you know, we've got people from Lynn, we got people from Owensville, we got people from everywhere coming this direction on Saturday night, March 12th.
It'll be a great meal.
Oh, yeah. Haggis is actually doing this meal, catering. It's the first time they've done it for us.
They do a great job.
And they do a great job, you know.
They
so,
absolutely do a great job.
We've had nothing but compliments on everything that we've put out so far.
So tickets are available?
Available yet at this time. We normally sell out a week or so. We try to get our tickets in by March 1st. So you are
Who do they
free to call
contact?
me. You are free to call me or anybody on the board. My number is easy to get a hold of, Aholt Seamless Guttering, or 314-486-2775. Again, 314-486-2775, and that's Greg Aholt.
And if you missed that, since we're out of time, call Gracie at the White Mule. They will get you Greg's number.
Most definitely.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Hey, a pleasure, friend.
Always.
Thank you for what you do, and thank you for protecting us in this country as a Marine. Know all well.
Well,
thank you, sir.
I wouldn't have
Thank you
loved
for
to
your
serve
service.
for anybody else.
Thank you, sir. Hey, we will be here next week, and I think, who's going to be here?
Dr. Hardy.
Dr. Hardy will be here, and we're going to talk about education next week and something especially that we need to do in regard to Gasconade County and Franklin County school districts to pass some legislation that will equalize our area that it needs to be done without a doubt. So we'll be seeing you next week with Dr. Hardy. Be safe out there, and remember the Owensville license office is closed today. Please be safe and take care of yourself. God bless you. We'll see you next week.